Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, future alien archaeologists, denizens of the interwebs, and every single party that I have ever greeted over the course of this campaign. This is session 144 by official numbering, so that's like 100 in base 12, which is a superior base to 10. Let me go ahead and throw that out there. I am joined by my three luxurious players, KyrianSalvar, Radiclus, and BraveShine. As always, Crystal Zoom is brought to you by Exploit Broadcaster and by Tractor Blonde. And whatever I said that didn't make sense just now, let's just roll with it. So tonight, we pick up. The party has more or less figured out the gist, not every detail, but the gist of what seems to have happened here, which is that their fight with the Sons of Qual has moved them to sort of a new reality in which, to put it in Kane's terms, all the tentacle shit didn't happen, but most of the rest of it did. So there are just like some things are as they remember and some things are not. So Kane has returned the chromatic ring and is now well, he has plans to meet up with Tully later. Fallon has similarly left with Anya to crash at her place. He is still debating what to do with the vestiges of Alkadir, which the Church of Innis has asked him to, well, if he would allow them to help him dispose of them. And Colleen has been advised that leaving the Creation Stones awakened could have negative ramifications long term, that putting them back to sleep might be advisable by no less a luminary as Halal's uncle. What did I name him? Colin, I think. Anyways, yeah, what the hell did I name him?
Captain Oily.
Inappropriate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Colin. I actually remembered it. Colin Sarandon. But she wants to look into it more. She's met up with her old professor, Minkasi and Hadalon, who totally is not responsible for aiding the apocalypse in this timeline. And also her mother, who's done some related research. And they will be looking into some of those things. And actually, let's go ahead and start with Colleen. So you finish up your lunch. You know, Fallon and Anya have left at this point. It's just you, the professor, and, well, both professors, actually. Your mother is one as well. And as you wrap things up, Minkasian looks at you and says, well, Colleen, I know that you've taken quite the journey to get here, but care to get started right away?
Certainly.
Very
Let's
well.
begin.
He looks over at Kate and he says, my lab are yours for this. And she thinks for a moment and then says, Creation Stones, right? Best start with mine. He nods and says, very well, just let me fetch one thing. He disappears into the back room of his office, and he comes out with, as all good professors do, a contraption. At a glance, you're not quite sure what more to make of it than that. Other than that, there are several brass rings on it that seem to allow some glass fixtures to slide along it. There's a small platform, so clearly you can orient them in various positions, and that must do something. But again, at a glance, you can't tell beyond that. And you make your way actually up a floor to where your mother has her little lab. You make your way inside. Minkasian sets his whatever it is sort of on a lab bench. Um, and Kate speaks first, and she says, "All right, Clean, you've filled us in on as much as you can. I think this is the part where I ask if I can see those stones."
Well, sure. Would you like all of them? Just one? Do you have a favorite?
I think you should be able to leave them in the setting that you have there.
Oh, right then. Where would you like it?
You can just hand it to me. Well, I'll be putting them over there. And she gestures towards a bench that basically it just has, again, sort of a small brass platter sort of set back in a hood. Um, it's positioned so that you can seal it up, but then there are sort of like gaskets, if you will, that you don't quite know what she has in mind with it.
Interesting. What are you expecting to happen with this?
Well, she stops for a moment and says, "You indicated that long term, leaving the spirits in these stones awakened might cause some sort of problem, yes?"
Potentially, but there's always potential.
Right, right. Well, I want to try to visualize that. So all that I have in mind is we'll just put them in there. I never really made too much progress in trying to provoke the theorized creation magic, but once or twice I thought I might have been onto something. So all I have in mind is to, well, wheel out some of my old attempts. Um, she thinks about her words for a moment. Stimulate the stone slightly and see if anything happens. Just want to know if any of the tracks I had in mind actually led anywhere.
Well, I can't deny you the opportunity for your own experimentation.
Excellent. So presumably you hand it over then. She walks over to the hood, sets the stones on the platter, and then goes sort of around the corner and comes out carrying a box that you're slightly concerned is too heavy for her. Like for a moment, your instincts from how frail she was kick in when she never would have been able to carry something like that. But she manages it a bit awkwardly. Um, she starts drawing out a variety of implements, various um, again, without having her explain the mechanism of action of all of these, basically there's a tube and there's a bulb and there's a knob on the tube, and they're all some variation of that. And all you see her do is one by one, sort of almost like uh, needle or plunger style, like syringe style, like insert them through the gasket and turn the knob a bit and wait to see if something happens. Um, she goes through the first few without incident. You and Minkazian are mostly just standing by watching at this point. Um, Finally, after about three or four of them, she says, "Well, only two more left." Brings out a fifth one. It has something sort of silvery in the bulb at the end. She cranks the dial a bit, and for just a moment, your vision is overwhelmed by a blinding flash of multicolored light. And then she dials it back. "Oops," she says. "Well, that certainly did something."
What was that exactly? What was that channel?
She says, "Right, I got a hold of a small amount of dragon's blood and worked it up into a bit of a solution." She shrugs. "I tried samples from just about any particularly magical creature that I could get my hands on.
So you added dragon's blood to this machine and then exposing it to the creation stones, you're hoping for a reaction?
Basically, I mean, you know that various alchemical reagents can strengthen one's connection to the weave, and, well, I thought perhaps it might set me on the right path towards unlocking creation magic if I attempted some things. I never really had the right substrate for it, though. Nothing mundane really reacts.
I think I understand.
I see you, Fallon. Right then. I think... She pauses for a moment. Of course, I'm not really sure where that gets us. Minkazian then speaks up and says, well, perhaps I can try something at this point, Cave. I think that you might have amplified the magic, but what we may actually need in a case like this is a way to suppress it. She says, right, of course. So, he looks at you again, Colleen. Again, your necklace, perhaps, so I think it's only fair to ask, can I take a turn?
Sure, I'm utterly curious.
All right, Kate, can I see? Of course. She hands over her whatever it is to him, and then he takes the stones and puts them on whatever his thing is. Again, weird professor types doing obscure magical shit. You're sure you could figure it out eventually, but there's no way you could know at a glance, and they're not taking the time to explain. He sets the stones down on the platter of his, and he starts just moving rings around in different places and looking through the crystals on each of them. Every once in a while, he gives a small nod of satisfaction, usually quickly replaced by sort of a grimace. And this continues for a good 20 minutes to the point where you kind of get bored. At last, however, he pauses and says, right, I think I've got it. And then he takes the implement that Cave gave him, sort of sets it on the back of the device, and you see sort of a... It's weird. You feel more than you see in a weird way. A glow emanating from the device. And he says, well, I've only just begun looking at this, and I can't be certain, but I think we might actually have a solution to your problem, Colleen. Well, maybe.
What might that be?
Well, he thinks for a moment. It was no accident that your mother and I have been working together all this time. The magics that we research are two ends of a spectrum. Learning something about one helps with the other. And, well, I think you may have just unlocked my research, Colleen. So, I think that if you want to suppress the stones, all we need to do is lay about them a weave of the opposed magic. Not enough to negate them, but enough to keep them in check. He pauses and thinks for a moment. Of course, that would hamper whatever the original intent of them was. If you wanted to preserve that, well, rather than simply suppressing it as they are, we could instead aim to separate the spirits from the stones themselves.
I was sort of thinking about that, like perhaps we could make a sort of construct for them.
We could, Colleen. He glances over at Cave. I might want to talk about this with your mother a bit, but There are actually, I'm making up a surprising amount of this on the spot, Fallon. I'm improvising like a madman right now. I did think about it a little bit though. I'll need to
We
talk
also
with.
think pretty similarly. We usually can follow each other.
I'll need to talk with your mother a bit,
Finish each
but
other's sandwiches.
Yeah.
exactly. Um, but I think that if we merely had a stronger source of draconic magic, then perhaps we could make it work. An attempt with simply this blood would be risky. And there is another potential cost too. If we separate the spirits from the power, then that means that, well, with the spirits in place, whatever the power of these stones is has something of a custodian. Without them, whoever gets these objects has it all.
It's not my intention for them to lose any of the ability nor the responsibility they carry, but I feel their benefit to the world is more than just going back to sleep until the next disaster.
He shrugs and he says, "Your friends made it very clear that a lot was at stake, and that you know a lot more about this than I do, Colleen. The decision is yours. But I would say again, if you want to attempt anything, I would advise you to attempt to procure, even if temporarily, some stronger link to the magic of the dragons."
Okay, I think we can do that. I know just the dragons.
Very well. He thinks for a moment. I think we can talk about the details without the stones themselves if you'd like to keep them. But he looks over at Cave. I think the two of us might just be theory crafting for a while.
So you'd like me to go get some material from this dragon we can make these constructs from?
Well, if you have something in mind, Colleen, um, and you want to proceed, then certainly.
Well, I have an idea, and if I can make a simulacrum of myself, I don't think it would be that much more of a stretch to create a similar figure for these, and we'll use the stones as a housing, some kind of power for this. So it functioned like a golem, but maybe just a little bit more on the magical side.
He stops and thinks for a moment. Could work. He reaches down to his side. Actually, reaches inside of his coat and pulls out a key and flips it to you. Key to my office. If you need a private place to work, go ahead and use that.
All right. Yeah, let's get to work. Well, I'll get to work, I suppose.
Very well. All right. So, what's your plan?
Well, firstly, I would like to do as I described, where I would like to attempt to make some kind of magical housing for the stone, but then also a golem or simulacrum that they can manifest themselves in a physical form. And then I have a part two, but let's try that first.
Okay. So, I mean, do you want to use this office for that, or where do you want to go? Or do you want to do it right here?
No, let's think. I want to go to the undercroft below the town square.
Wait, I'm trying to remember what this is.
Um, from my initial story, I explained that Colleen learned a lot about necromancy with Minkazian in the caverns below the city.
Okay. All right. Yep. You have a place that you know about. You go and you find that it's there.
Excellent.
All right. And then can you specifically describe what you're trying to create here?
Imagine vision, but
Okay.
but for the creation stones.
All three of them.
Yep.
One body?
Okay, one.
No, separate bodies, I think, is
Okay.
easier
one
to...
body.
How are
One
you
body.
planning to transport this after you create it?
3 visions.
Use
Well.
Tuli's body.
Ideally, they would be able to be autonomous on their own.
Yeah, but there's
But-
not going to be anything. There's not going to be anything like inhabiting this after you. Or wait, are you just straight up making a simulacrum, like actual
Yeah.
simulacrum spell?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me.
Did you bring them clothes?
Use
You gonna have
Tuli's
no
body.
But it's, it's twisted from simulacrum.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. What do you say?
Okay. Use Tuli's body.
Episode title.
You
No, I'm
sick
just kidding. That's
bastard.
not the episode title. All right, so you would be able to get materials for this easily
Whoops.
enough, but it's going to be 4,500 GP of materials. Do you have 4,500 GP? 450 plat is what that would be.
Let me check.
I mean, or if you have powdered ruby, worth that amount.
Yeah, we've got enough of it in the bag of holding. We've got
Okay.
Wait, what are you using up?
just a couple
Using up stuff?
platinum.
Kay's not there. Kay's not there. But wait,
We
She's
Kate
saved
up
the
with-
world. That's
just for the
fine.
record, Kane has one of them. This is not saving the world.
if I translate this into real world dollars, because my statement has been that a gold piece is like about $10 real world money. So she's using like $45,000 of materials right now.
She's using jibs, but Kane, just for the record, Kane has a second bag of holding. Like, bag of holding dose.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, noted.
But this is in bag of holding the regular.
Which Kane has.
Don't talk about shit.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. When you left, you took the stones with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I forgot to mention something.
Okay.
You forgot.
When you like take hold of the object that the stones are housed in and put it back around your neck, you're briefly aware of the stones all speaking, and what they're saying is some variation of "ah." Ugh.
Like a good eye or a bad eye? Or like kind of like a ah.
bad but not screaming in pain, like ugh.
Kinda
like discomfort, and they're like, what was that? Specifically, that was Lacidel.
He's fucking with the forces of nature, that's what that was.
Well, it would seem it was some sort of counter magic, something from a negative variation to limit your power.
Cenarian says, mm-hmm. And Kirill says, warn us next time.
Yeah, Colleen.
I'm sorry, you
Yeah.
weren't in my hands at the time. But I promise I have no plans of hurting you. In fact, I hope this will help all of you quite a lot.
It's okay. It's okay. We trust you, Colleen, says Lacidel. And right, Kirill says, we trust you not to F this up.
Colleen's
Well-
a great babysitter.
Yo, he's throwing shade, Colleen. You gonna take that?
Infinite cosmic power. It's unity living space.
Are you know itsy bitsy with them? Could be like a Pokeball where it's just like an endless universe. Could be a TARDIS. With the fall, you know.
Could be.
Never been inside one of those stones.
Alright. It's okay, Colleen. Do what you were going to do, says Lacidel. And at that point, you do, unless you had anything particular you wanted to say. You do go ahead with your plan, just like you mentioned it. You fashion bodies. Now, are you modeling them based on the way the spirits like manifest in the real world?
Themselves, yeah.
Okay. So you make it. It's actually, let me see here. I'm actually going to have you roll for this. Give me Arcana.
Okay. I almost rolled for the bag of holding.
Lols. Bag of holding a shit Arcana.
Yep.
Holding.
Okay. You do quite a good job. They look very, very much like you're familiar with them, with the one difference being that they're a bit hollow. So I think you can manifest simulacrums with clothes on. Anyways. So
You could.
so yeah. All right. So that's part one. What's part two?
Part two. I guess the others aren't here, so it doesn't necessarily pertain to them. But we have two options that I want to explore.
Mm-hmm.
First option: tear through dimensions until I find Dwillig and bring him here.
Okay.
Second option: go back in time and pull Dwillig from the original dimension into this one before he's touched, so that none of the bad stuff happens in that reality, but also we have him over here.
How do you intend to do this?
Through the creation and the negative magic, as I learned about it from the in-between, I fully intend to utilize that avenue as best I can.
So that would be a thing after you get back to Minkazian and your mom, I would presume, because you don't know how to use annihilation magic, and Minkazian is only just taking baby steps in that direction.
Yes, but it is something that I want to accomplish for the character.
Okay, understood. That being said, I think the immediate issue was you were asked to try to find a stronger source of draconic magic.
Yes.
Do you have any plan for that?
We'll go ask Tovrith for some blood.
Okay, how are you going to get there?
And some friends.
What if Tovrith doesn't know us?
He's got a teleportation circle nearby-ish, right?
That's true. Do you know teleportation circle?
I do.
Oh, okay, cool.
I got there the first time. Second time, last time, most recent time.
Right.
Most recent time.
And actually, you know what? As I think about it, what's his face? Fabrizio would even still be there.
Yeah.
So for time's sake, I'm gonna skip past a lot of this lovely character interaction that would happen. So if
Get
I
some bottle of blood while we're at it.
He's not bringing us.
Well, you're not there. Colleen's not gonna find you. Especially Kane, maybe Fallon, but
you have a stone that goes directly to my brain.
So
fair.
So I'm gonna time skip some of this, but I want to pause quickly on the scene after you make your way to that teleportation circle, walk out of the back room, and are making your way like past the ritual chamber when you hear that familiar voice in your mind, Colleen, and a quaddle comes streaking out of the darkness, sort of wraps itself around you in the quaddle equivalent of a hug, and then quickly jumps off of you to float nearby. And he says, "Back again so quickly. What's up?"
Well, I need a little bit of blood from Tovrith and maybe even yourself if you're willing.
He let me think about this real quick. He polymorphs into a giant mosquito and then says, "I presume this isn't what you had in mind. Could you explain?"
Well, I need just a little bit of blood for some experiments. I'm trying to make a new home for the creation stones, hopefully bound to this plane, this mortal world.
He shapeshifts back into his normal form and says, "Okay, I'll take you to Tavrith because it sounds like you really need to talk to him, but maybe work on your intro, Colleen." He guides you through Tavrith's palace. Actually, let me think here. Where is Tavrith right now? As you go by the vault doors, you actually find them surprisingly closed. He guides you instead towards the entrance chamber, where as you walk in, you see Tavrith straightening a painting on the wall. And you hear him muttering to himself, "I think that's level." He turns back. "Fabrizio, is Colleen? You know what, Colleen, here, help me a second. Come here. Is that level with the floor?"
Like,
Yeah, he's trying to square it up.
does it look level?
Yeah. It's kind of tricky to judge. Give me perception.
Can you just use a cup of water or something?
Looks pretty level.
It seems level enough. Is this how you're spending your free time now?
What free time? This place needs constant tending to, Colleen. Anyways, he swivels back around and says, "First time you've been here without your friends. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?"
Well, they're off on their own adventures now, and I'm here on an errand, really. Just need a small prick of your blood, if you'd be so willing.
His
seems
eyes narrow immediately.
seems to really accent the reaction that we get from the experimentation with the creation magic.
Experimentation?
Well, yes, you see the powerful magical lineage of great dragons such as yourself reacts rather favorably with the more powerful magics from other planes. And so if you would be so kind as to spare me just a couple
And you
drops.
want to use this for what?
I'm making new bodies for Lacidel, Curil, and Cenarian.
Do they not have bodies enough?
Well,
Colleen?
physical ones, so they can stay among us. They don't have to go back to sleep in a cave until the next disaster.
He stops for a moment. "Let me see the stones, Colleen."
Well, okay then. Hand them over.
He reaches out a single claw towards you. You drape the necklace over his finger. He brings them back. You see his eyes go mostly shut for several long seconds. And then he reaches back to return the necklace to you.
Everything okay?
I'm troubled by what you have in mind, Colleen, but
That's
at
fair.
least one of your friends is fairly convincing. Says,
Well,
"What offering do you give in exchange for my blood?"
well, what would you like, Your Grace?
Khalid's like, but free.
He says, "What would look good in my collection?"
The creation stones. Wait.
Well, I could think of nothing more appropriate, at least from me, than my greatest possession, this staff of ambition.
What about the sloppy work head?
He looks at it and thinks for a moment, and he says, "That is indeed a good gift. I will take it gladly, and you shall have as much of my blood as you need."
You can give him dragon parts.
Just
Yeah, right.
just a
We
drop
had dragon
will
parts.
do. But if there's anything that is as much a part of me as your blood is a part of you, it's the staff. So I hope that it will be displayed proudly among your other treasures.
Of course. The most prominent of places, you are, after all, one of the great heroes of this era. He takes it and says, "I'll be right back." And again, for sake of time, I'm going to fast forward at this point. Again,
Go ahead.
like, let me know if I'm skipping past anything you particularly want to do.
No, that's okay.
But I'm going to fast forward to the moment when you reappear at your teleportation circle in Tindos. Two, like, bottles of Tavrith's blood in your possession.
Old tea blood.
Okay, so I bring the simulacrum and the blood back to my mom and Mikasian and
All
see
right.
what they have to say.
And
Still waiting around.
yep. So you find the two of them. You bring in the vials of the brilliant golden blood with just a bit of a rosy hue to it. And actually, wait, let me see. Do either of them recognize? Okay. So both of them, you see their eyebrows go up as they look at it. And Benkazian says, "I'm not quite sure what you have there, Colleen, but I can tell the quality."
Oh, well, it's nothing really, just some dragon's blood.
Right. I won't ask where you got it. He says, "Well, I know this is all rather quick. Normally research doesn't go this quickly, but since examining those stones, a number of things that we were just on the cusp on have really clicked into place. I think that we could be ready, well, tonight, I would say. The only question then is what we're aiming for here." He thinks there are a few things to talk about. Actually, I'm going to assume at this point you would... Actually, wait a minute. He says, "Oh, where's my head? I think I can see one thing that you have in mind based on those simulacra, correct?"
Yes.
He says, "All right, your intent there seems fairly obvious. The only other thing to check on, which I realized that I forgot to mention before, was this friend of yours. I would... Well, I anticipated that it might be something you would ask about. And your mother and I put our heads to it. There's something that we could try, but it's risky, and it might interfere with your first goal if we do."
Well, let's hear it.
He says, "Well, my intention was to apply a rather gentle touch with the annihilation magic, just counteract the slow growth in the magic of these stones, and separate out the spirits. If we made it a bit stronger, we could use them to bridge the realities, and perhaps using your own memories as an anchor, target something to pull through. There are two ways that this could go wrong. If we overload the power of the stones themselves, we could destroy them or corrupt them or do any number of untold things that I'm not certain what would come of it. The second problem would be if your thoughts waver for even an instant, we could pull the wrong thing over. And then there's, of course, always the danger of, well, simply the unknown. He shrugs. I'll admit, I'm incorrigible. If I see something that I can try, I want to. But I'm going to leave it to you, Colleen.
Well, I certainly take after my mentor. We absolutely have to try it. We owe it to both science and magic to see what we can find.
Very well. Well, I know this doesn't sound ominous or anything, but your mother and I can handle the preparations from here. If you wouldn't mind leaving the stones, however. You could simply go take whatever preparations you have in mind and come back here around midnight.
Okay, well, let me first make sure with the stones that that's okay, and they would like to proceed with that plan, as I've been a little wrist slapped before.
Very well. Take a moment. Presumably you reach back out to the spirits, so you're talking with them now.
Well, Lassiter, I imagine your curiosity is the same as mine, and you for the riskier plan. But do you have any feelings or opinions you'd like to share?
Honestly, Kirill says, we're against this part of the plan. Do what you want with us, but reaching back into that other world, and Cenarian says, bad idea. Lassiter says, look, Colleen, we're not going to stop you if that's what you decide, but even I'm kind of concerned about this one.
Well, I really, to me, I don't see what we have to lose. Like it is a high risk, but there's a whole world that we could start. We could bridge that connection with this, and there'll never be another opportunity like it, nor circumstances like this.
Look, Colleen, see, and then Kirill says, we exerted ourselves that one time, and if we do it again, things will be bad in any case, at least if we do it anytime soon. So look, we're not getting in your way. Do what you want. This is a bad idea. And then the connection cuts off. And then it opens back up briefly, and Lassadel says, but yeah, you can totally leave us with them, it's fine. And then it cuts off again.
Alright, I will gingerly hand it to my mother and say, well, I have a bit to think about, but I think I have a few dinner parties to crash first.
All right. See you back, well, tonight.
I will be here, most certainly.
And with that, we are going to switch over to Fowlin. You are walking down the streets of Tindos. The sun is high in the sky. We are once again at just after noon. You just shared at lunch. Anya says, so, do you need to pick up any stuff from that other place where you were staying, or do you have it all with you?
That's a good question. Do I have all my stuff?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. I say, this is it. This is me.
All right. Well, she thinks for a moment. Anything you need before we just head back? And she looks at you slyly. Talk?
No.
All right, great. You keep walking. She says, by the way, I don't think I actually asked you about it. What were you talking with Nisty about before when I ran into you? Why were you at the temple?
I pat my pack, assume where I'm keeping all the vestiges, and I say, "Do you remember the vestiges of Alcadir?"
Let me think. Did she actually? Oh yeah, she totally would. She's like, all too well.
Well, they're on me back. I got them all here.
Oh my. I had a vague uneasiness about me, despite being very happy to see you, and now I understand why. She looks back. She just sort of eyes your pack with wide eyes and says, "Look at you. If you aren't just carrying the greatest concentration of evil magic in the world right on your pack, how does it feel?"
I'm used to it. It's not really that heavy.
Fair enough. She thinks about it. How heavy was it compared to carrying that group of yours?
Light as a feather.
She laughs.
Cade sneezes in the distance.
She looks down at Gamork and she said, "We all know you were taking care of him the whole time, right? Right."
Fallon thinks for a second and wishes he could command Gamork to regale her with the tales of Fallon's heroism.
About this moment, you arrive at oh, and actually, wait, I think it stopped. Yeah, there we go. About this moment, you arrive back at the entrance to a brownstone building, fairly nondescript, blends in with the area around it. And she says, "Well, this is the place." She actually takes the symbol from the holy symbol from around her neck and inserts it into what looks like a keyhole and says, "It's not quite as insecure as you'd think. The entire symbol of your religion being the key, they do get modified a bit, but yeah, security could be better." She turns it, opens the door. It opens onto a narrow set of stone steps, and she says, "We're 2 floors up." You
Okay.
you make your way up the stairs and enter into what seems like a fairly basic, like 3-room apartment. There's a sort of a sitting room, a small kitchen, and a bedroom off the back. She mentions that the facilities are shared between several apartments and they're down the hall. She says, "Well, make yourself at home." She sits down on the couch. And actually, no, before she does, is there anything I can get you? Water, food? Something harder?
What time of day is it?
It's like 1.
Yeah. No, I'd just like to catch up.
Well, great. There's sort of, again, not quite, it's not like a sofa, but,
Futon.
yeah, I'm trying to think how to describe it. Like, think like a love seat, but like fantasy love seat, right?
Okay.
She sits down close to the middle on one side.
Well, set my pack down next to the love seat. Sit next to her.
All right. And she leans her head back and says, "So, I obviously don't know the whole story yet, but it's all over. You took care of whoever it was who was after the vestiges and all the demons and all that."
Yeah, it's done. Colleen might be fiddling with it, unfortunately, but
Yeah, I think she thinks for a moment. "I'm a paladin of the goddess of knowledge who presumably knows who Colleen is. So at this point, I'm just trusting that that's been taken into the calculation.
So, that reminds me. There was this time, Clean died. She was, I don't know, there was some battles, being very careless and just died. And I actually used one of these silly vestiges to command a wizard to bring her back to life. And he did it. It was amazing. It's great.
Oh, she looks at you, and I'm not seeing green fumes seeping out from under your clothing. I'm not seeing your eyes bloodshot and filled with black, so looks like you've been able to stave off any deleterious effects.
Feels like it. Also, there was this guy named Dom that we accidentally let out of a prison.
Accidentally.
And you like that, Colleen? That's all on purpose.
I know. She was my waifu in another dimension.
And Colleen was madly in love with him, but he was like Mr. Evil, and he like killed his baby or something. But she didn't care. Seemed pretty.
I mean,
Pretty
she thinks
questionable.
for a moment. Colleen is fairly open-minded, and maybe she saw something.
We met
Interesting
Kane's
story,
dad.
though. Oh, that must have been fascinating. She sort of sits up a little bit and looks at you. What was he like?
No.
Promiscuous. Kane has about 400 brothers and sisters.
Holy shit.
And we did some do you remember those gnome salts that I used to do?
She stops for a moment. Salts?
You don't
I mean,
recall?
I know that... What? I know that you smoked some sort of... Oh, what did you call it? It was some sort of white leaf, if I remember right.
That's different reality, I guess. I assume that's the thing, Casey, because I don't know nothing about no white leaf.
Yeah, it must be. You have no idea what she's talking about.
No, I used to. Maybe that's one difference between the dimensions. I used to smoke these purple flowers with white spots that would give me hallucinations.
Oh.
Yeah. Kept the demons away at night.
Well...
But I got over it. And anyways, but before that, we did that with Kane's father.
Interesting.
And we got to somehow see a vision of Kane's conception.
Oh, I'm sure
And
that
then-
stuck with you.
Have you seen a monster called a beholder?
Let me think. I know well of them. I've not had the pleasure of running into one, actually.
They served us lemonade.
She stops for a moment and says, "That sounds unusual."
It was very unusual. One of our companions, I don't believe you ever met, warned me not to drink it as I was drinking it, and it was a bad call. But we survived, and yeah. Nistia wants me to destroy all these artifacts, but I believe she said that they'll eventually resurface somewhere or something.
She says, "I don't know that lore, but I imagine they must have explained it to you. And by the way, just to make sure we're on the same page, Antinial wanted to scatter them, like across different planes. Basically, she had a plan for that. That was actually like, basically, she said that Maxis found like a network of portals that they can use for that. Nistia wanted to destroy them, but they do come back after a bit over a century if you destroy them.
That's right. Sorry. Nistia wanted to destroy them specifically, but they'll come back in like 100 years, and then the other lady there wanted to scatter them through portals.
Hmm. Yeah, they're not exactly the sort of thing that you get rid of forever, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm planning to wear them or use them, but we worked really hard to collect them all, you know?
She says, I understand that. You work really hard to get something, you become attached to it, even, well, regardless of what it is to some extent, I imagine.
Well, I mean, we used them for, I guess, good things. We didn't. I brought Colleen back to life. I felled an animal with the axe or a creature. I can't recall.
I suppose she thinks about it for a moment. I don't know if you're after my advice or not, Fallon, but I will say I know many a story where something like that does some good at first, but eventually goes wrong.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted them to work for it, you know, and just calling me up out of the blue and making demands.
Did they make demands?
I mean, I'm from the forest. I don't really understand everything, but it felt a bit demandy to me.
Being forced, man. We don't
Oh,
understand words.
she stops and thinks. To be honest, that doesn't sound like Nistia. She thinks some more. I mean, she was probably a bit fired up about what she was doing. I'm sure she cares intensely about it, but... Well, she stops and thinks for a moment. You're the one who's carrying them. Unless they want to try to ambush you in the night or something. I doubt they're in a position to demand, and I think they know that.
Did they offer me something?
Yeah, so Antinio basically, laid out why she wanted you to, let them help dispose of them, and then she also said that, I know you're giving up something here, so if it'll help, we'll give you a bunch of money, basically.
I guess if I could get an Innis artifact in exchange, that's would be more to my liking.
Okay, I mean, you could negotiate for such. That is an option.
I'll say, well, they tried to give me a bunch of money, which, I've got some of that already. And I've never cared for it. If they had something from Innis that I could have in exchange for all this Alcadir stuff that they really want to mess with, I guess maybe I could trade.
She stops and thinks for a moment, and then she says, I could help you with that, but they're gonna hate me if I do.
I can make you forget that.
She looks at you, offended. Wait a minute. No, I might be misreading your tone, actually. I initially read what you just said as almost threatening, but I don't think you mean it that way, right?
No.
Okay. I get it. Okay, just...
KcForce, man. No understand words well.
Yeah. She says, all right. So I help you, and then she looks up at you and says, and then you make it up to me later, and nobody mentions that I told you what to ask for, even though everyone probably already knows, and we find something to do together after. Does that sound about right?
Sounds perfect.
All
Does
right.
she know about my snake heritage?
Yes, because you asked her a while ago to look up stuff related to the Yuan Ti, and she like gave you a book.
Did I give her those letters? I guess. Hey,
Yeah, you did. You did.
I like that, Kane. Okay. I assume she hasn't had time to read them because we've basically been together the whole time.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Do we need to go do that, or what do we do? I know you're tired.
No, we can take care of this. So what's actually happening right now is I remember generically what I'm looking for, but I need information from like really old session notes that I'm trying to find. So just give me a moment. All right, let me think. When was this?
Make more snake puns. More snake puns.
Yeah. I actually just oh wait, I think I might have found it. Hold on.
How dare you, Colleen?
I like the fact that I lay eggs. Why do y'all think I've been making breakfast every morning?
Pops out a couple snake eggs.
Free food, everybody.
Fertilized eggs.
What a great survivalist.
I mean, hey, you know, protein.
The ranger.
He eats his children, but no, can't kill children.
They're unfertilized eggs, you know. That's how you.
I'm a pro-choice snake man.
That's as far as you know, Kane. You don't know what Fallon's been up to.
I mean, who fertilizes eggs?
I'm not trying to end the world. Pull back.
What do you say, Fallon?
Wee League.
Okay. All right. So go back in. Yep. So she says, so if you were interested in requesting something exceptionally interesting, something that at least rivals what you already have, ask them for the Stone of Transcendence.
Sounds pretty fancy.
Sounds like some nerd shit.
She says, you know what? I had to memorize this. I'm going to recite it exactly as the lore goes. She sits up, adopts almost a proper air, and like half closes her eyes. And she says, long ago, spirit and body were not distinct. Everything was one. Long ago, time was a fluid concept. It marked the cycles of existence. But there was no entropy, no steady march towards any end. That reality no longer exists. The intrusion of non-being ended it. And yet, as that world died, the goddess Innis mourned its passing, and with such of her power as she could spare, she preserved a piece of it, a single pebble, an irregular, dull thing, nothing remarkable, but for its connection to a world that is no longer. The Stone of Transcendence sits in a transparent box of clear crystal, suspended by 8 lances of energy. Metal carvings on the box symbolically associate the lances with the 8 schools of magic. The box can be opened only if each of the 8 spells is countered with an appropriate counter magic. The spells are unique, having no other effect than acting as the key to the box. The crystal is impervious aside from this method of opening. The clear crystal is further wrapped in cloth and stored in a series of 3 locked adamantine chests. On opening the box, the stone exists for 1 minute before crumbling into non-existence. And anyone who holds it in that moment gains a gradually expanding sense of time, with each day that passes becoming more aware of the past, future, all related possibilities, and, for a time, gaining the knowledge of Innis herself. She looks at you.
Do you have to open it to do that? Or just have the box?
She says, well, yeah, basically, but like there's a window and it's super interesting and stuff. So, you know, if you just wanted a display piece, well, actually I wouldn't display it except in a very private gallery of some sort. But like, yeah, it's a whole big thing and the box is really fancy.
Yeah, sorry. I have to trigger the disintegration of the stone to feel the effect. Is that what you're saying?
She says, yes, At least that's what I memorized. I'm pretty sure I didn't learn this part later, but I think you can get some sort of reduced effect without opening it. Just sort of having it.
Cool. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, so ask for that. And she sits back.
The stone of, what was it again?
Transcendence.
Transcendence. Right.
Yeah, they have to give everything fancy names and shit. She says, see that over there? And she points towards her sword that's leaned up against the wall.
Yeah.
I named that sword.
You know about my crossbow, don't you?
She says, yes?
Meat floomp.
You're even better at naming than I am.
I used to have an axe named Thunk and some daggers named Shanks.
Oh, what happened to them?
I sold them. I was carrying so many weapons.
She says, oh, I get it. You know, you go, you fight, you loot. Before you know it, you're over your carrying capacity.
I have this mace that terrifies people. Look at the face on it. Isn't that scary?
Oh, shit. Don't leave that by my bed when I sleep. Wait, I mean, I didn't say that. Just, yeah, you can keep that.
Trying to see what else I have. Like, show off. Check out this sword that's cold. And I got this other sword that's made of light.
Oh,
And
fuck.
then I have this dagger of degeneration that I got from Dravosa.
And for sake of time, you spend the next little while just like showing off your toys to each other.
Haha, toys.
That's right. Actually, though, the Dravosa dagger you do not have.
Oh, why not?
Other
I didn't get
timeline.
to use it.
She gave it to you for the fight against the tentacle monsters, and you didn't fight the tentacle monsters.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we did.
Not in this timeline.
Oh, okay, fine. I used to have this sweet dagger.
Oh, that's what all the boys say.
Dravosa gave it to me.
Ah,
Fight the tentacle creatures.
so now my competition is the what do I have her? The goddess of predation.
I mean, she's okay, but she's not competition.
Hey, that's what I like to hear. And then telescoping boundaries around this scene. I'm gonna jump to Kane now.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
So did you have anything in mind to do before meeting up with Tully for dinner?
Did she say she would tell me where Tirsa was?
Oh, yeah, that's what she was going to check on, and that's why the two of you split up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think specifically she was going to ask Tirsa about Zaina for you.
Yes, because Cade really needs to figure out if he has a kid.
Exactly.
It seems important. It's like, Cade's like, priorities, save world, child. Now, save world, dead, child, now. But no child, no more priorities. His responsibilities. But he's cool either way. Maybe we'll find out.
Right.
He doesn't know. I have a ring of protection and I misspelled it. It's RNG of protection.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Just roll a dice. That's how much bonus you get.
Yeah, right. But yeah, anything that you had in mind?
I mean, I don't know this town.
Okay. I mean, I'm willing to just say Kane goes tooling around town.
I already gave up my ring.
I think you should go get fancy for your date.
What did I get? What did I take the ring for?
The ring?
Where did I give up the ring for? What did I get in return?
Oh yeah, you got a ring of. Did you get the ring of genie summoning?
Yes, I didn't add her inventory.
Okay.
Bring up Genius Summoning. Okay. Don't you tamper the weight. I'll be encumbered. Anyway. But what I will do, I just added. Oh yeah. So Radiclus gave me a great idea. Kay's gonna change armors
Okay.
into his. Where is it?
Wear the team jacket. Please wear the team jacket.
I
I've been wearing it this whole time.
forgot about that.
I don't believe you.
Or I
'cause
would have
Taylor would
made
not have
something of it.
entertained this dinner date if
In
that
case
was.
you forgot, I'm not gonna remind you guys I'm wearing it. Yes, I'm wearing it. Kay's gonna put on his glamored black studded leather.
Okay.
Leather. Words. I am forced, man. Me no good with words.
Yep.
And it's attunement, but I figure I'll be able to attune to it before we beat back up, right?
Oh yeah, you've got time. You could even like get it cleaned if you wanted.
I mean, it's glamored.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I got soap, but I could go get it. I could go get it.
Yeah. You can spend some time cleaning up, like try not to look too try hard while you're doing it, but also trying to nicen up a bit.
Just get it make the armor a little smell nice, and then I'm gonna make it look like some like nobleman outfit with like the frilly wrists and stuff.
Oh really? You're going all the way? You're going all the way?
Yes.
All right.
Very fancy outfit. It's not really there.
Okay.
Go get a haircut.
I can't get a haircut. I don't want to get a haircut. What's my hair length? I like my picture.
What's that old picture where I made you look old?
I like my picture.
I mean, you could get a trim if you wanted. You don't necessarily need it.
I'll brush it back.
All right.
Like, or to the side or something. I don't know. Whatever looks best.
Sure.
Whatever looks fanciest.
All right. So you're basically just like cleaning up and shit?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
The armor, and then such a shiny head. It's no longer green.
Okay. Incidentally, while you're at that, you sort of wander through a commercial district of the town. As you're walking past one of the stalls, you overhear a quarrel between a customer and a seller at the stall. And mostly what you hear is just like, look, this thing is defective and I want to return it. All sales are final, sir. Well, you should stop selling defective products, blah, blah, blah. And you're walking by, you don't really think too much of it. But then you notice on the corner of the stall that the person who's running it appears to have left a brown bag, lumpy bag with oddly coin-shaped objects in it. Just sort of sitting there.
First, I want to go to the man.
Okay, you do.
Am I in my outfit yet?
Wait, and say what? Yeah, sure. You're just heading off to the next place. Yeah, you're in your new outfit.
To say, good sir, do you sell defective products?
This man claims that I do. I admit no such thing.
My good sir, I am not asked. This is not a court. I am asking you directly. It is a yes or no question. Do you sell defective products?
His eyes go shifty for a moment, and he says,
I narrow my gaze at him.
Not on purpose.
Insight check.
Yeah, sure. Roll insight.
I want to see if this man is a swindler. A charlatan. So I could rob him.
Yeah, roll insight.
I'm rolling. It's all 20 slow.
Oh, okay. Yep, no worries. Okay, very clearly what's going on here is he's doing that thing where you technically tell the truth, kind of, but not really. So like, he's very shifty. Probably he just, whatever it is that he's selling is just like slipshod manufacturing, and he just sells it all anyway.
What does he sell? What did this young man buy?
Yeah, you look around. I've been trying to think of this in the background the entire time because I've been talking. It's been hard.
He's like, oh dang, he's talking to him. I thought distraction with money.
Right. Let me see. He is selling, it looks like gardening implements and other like tools and stuff.
I see. Gardening and
Like you see some gardening stuff, you see just your basic like, hammers and saws and shit like that.
and what the young man did, like the blade break or something, or just like it come out of the handle.
Yeah, so the man seems to be holding a trowel that's like very bent.
I see. So I'm gonna look at the man and say this is a very fine city here. We do not tolerate charlatans and swindlers such as yourself. And I'll use the control flames cantrip to like make it look like I'm just like setting the stall on fire. Like I suggest you leave, and if I come back and you're still here, I'll make you leave.
Roll intimidation.
It's not very high. I'm upset. Damn it.
He looks at you and he says, I see you're dressed very finely, sir, and you're acting as if you run this place, but one glance at you would suggest you don't.
I never claimed to run this place. I just claimed I could make you leave.
Roll insight with advantage. I mean, intimidation with advantage.
Woo! That's not great. Oh, hey, it's
With
better.
advantage. He nods and says, I see. He looks back at the man and says, yes, sir, I'd be happy to take that as a return. You paid, what, 4 gold for it? The man nods. He says, very well. He reaches back and says, I'm sorry for the problems with your experience, but do wish you better should you ever look to do business again. The man just sort of mutters, shoves the gold in his pocket, and walks away.
Don't wait for me to start packing up.
Wait, what? Oh. He looks up at you. Fine. And he disappears. You see him haul out a couple crates and start to pack things
While
away.
he disappears, I pack stuff up and take the gold.
All right. No check. Well, you know what? Just to see. Sleight of hand.
Yay! I like rolling.
I like big dice. That was not big dice.
Yeah, although
I can't roll lower than
Wait.
10 though.
How is that?
I can't roll less than
How is a
10.
crit fail a 27?
Because I can't roll less than 10 and it's a plus 17.
Oh, you have a mod on it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, okay, I know that's not technically a crit fail. So yeah, it's your worst attempt, but you're feeling lazy, and this man doesn't deserve your best attempt. You get 40 gold.
Does it? How much?
40.
Are you
Made the stack
encumbered?
too much bigger, but okay.
You're encumbered?
I mean,
40 gold. Let me see.
it's like $400 real world.
Yeah, I want to see if he's encumbered.
Yeah, but I got like
So that
No.
he can't get away when the guy
Ha.
notices.
not encumbered.
All right. So yeah, so you go on from that, having done a good deed for others and for yourself, and finally make your way to the address that Tuli gave you.
Woohoo!
You walk in, you beat her there. Congratulations. But you're
I
only
like
sitting.
to win.
You're only sitting at the table for a couple minutes before Tuli comes in.
I already ordered the wine.
Okay, brilliant. And actually, it looks like she had the same idea. She's wearing she's wearing a dress that it's like an orange and red pattern, fairly vibrant, with a rather high slit on one side.
Mine's blue. I didn't
All
think that before. The color beforehand was blue now. That's
right,
what I decided.
brilliant. She walks in and slinks into the chair across from you. Sort of sits down and looks up at you for a moment and says, "Well, you're looking awfully fancy."
Yes. So are you. You look very fancy.
She says, "Yeah, I borrowed it from Kat." She shrugs. "I don't have a ton of money, but she let me rent it for free."
This is just armor that could change its appearance. So
Oh, well, that's handy.
it is. It's like I'm always wearing armor, but I'm wearing like this like skin tight shirt thing. I don't know what it is. I've just seen people wear it.
Okay, well, I am not expecting anything, but if arrows start flying, I'll duck behind you, all right?
Alrighty, sounds good.
Brilliant. She says, as she looks over at the wine bottle, "So that's for me, right?"
And I figured we could split the first one, and then
She says, "Of course, of course." She reaches over and pours herself a glass anyway.
yep.
You
Whenever the waiter comes by to ask what we want, I'm just gonna. I don't know how fancy this place is, but I'll just put the bag of 40 gold and be like, "What can I buy with this?"
okay, so yeah, the place is like medium fancy. It is the like, let's have a nice dinner but not ruin our wallets kind of place. You're outside on a bit of a terrace. There's a fountain bubbling. There's a few other people making their way in. None of them look, well, the clientele doesn't seem too snooty for you to like feel dirty even being there.
How would I feel dirty being there? More people to rob.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But yeah, so yeah, you order some food, you enjoy yourselves for a bit. Finally, Tully says, "So, imagine you want to know what I learned from Tirsa, right? Because I did learn."
Yes, very much so. Yes, I would like to learn. Yes.
Sex tips.
Yeah, so she raises an eyebrow at you. "Wherever this daughter came from, I gather that relationship is not ongoing?"
It wasn't really like started. It just like yeah.
She nods. "I get it. Um,
Yes.
don't worry, I'm not upset about it at all, actually. But yeah, sounds like the girl's with your uncle."
Okay. Cool. All right. Still have child. Cool. 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 Cool.
"So you gonna go get her then?"
Probably soon. I mean, uncle, he's chill. He's good. He's probably handling things.
Hmm. She takes a sip of wine and says, "Have you thought much beyond that?"
No, to be honest, I figured I would be dead from the fighting. I didn't think I'd make it, so I didn't really. I had a whole thing. See, you don't remember it, but I had this whole thing and like contingency plans and stuff. And then now I'm alive, and you don't remember any of the stuff that I told you. So
She smiles a bit. "Contingency plans that you told me about?"
yes, because you kind of showed up with my kid, so I was like, oh, okay. And so like.
Oh.
Yeah, you came to the other continent with Tirsa and my kid. And so, yeah, and then we trained in the Feywild for a bit.
Wait, so in this other timeline, I was like this kid's nanny?
No. I wouldn't use that one.
Doing great.
No.
What was I then?
Wine. Drinks wine. I mean, labels are, labels are, labels are bad. You shouldn't like label people.
She She takes a drink again and thinks about that for a moment and says, "You know what? Good answer. I am not really used to thinking of myself with a kid, and I'd rather not just yet."
Well, I mean, at least you did. Never mind. You know what? I'm gonna stop on that topic.
She
So,
nods and says,
yeah,
"Fair enough."
you showed up. And I gave you contingency plans of like different planes of existence to go to and stuff, and like give you the tools necessary for. Which I guess, do I have those now? How the timeline thing works.
She
But yeah, like
says,
I told you how to get away and all that stuff. Maybe
she
like where to
says,
find my papa.
"Yeah, if I could just jump in, Kane, and stop you for a moment. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just sort of say what I'm thinking a lot. Sorry if I made you uncomfortable at all. Suffice it to say,
What makes you uncomfortable?
uh, anyways, just, she sort of looks to the side and then says, like, like, she's veering towards muttering, like, she's getting a little bit quieter as she says this, but look, if you need any help with the kid and this, what I'm saying is, if you need my help with anything, just let me know, okay?
I will. Yep, I will let you know. Which I figure I kind of want to get more of the lay of the land as well.
Because I went and, okay, yep, sorry. She shakes her head and says, but, yeah, so you're gonna, what, make your way there yourself then? Or kind of felt like your party was drifting in different directions?
Well, I want to kind of get more information about what's different here. Check out people I knew like Tirsa. I do want to say hello to Kat. Um, at the minimum.
Well, I need to drop off this dress sometime. Actually, she thinks about that for a moment. No, maybe we'd best go separately.
Yes, she did drug me and put me in a cell. I was still a bit cross about that.
She looks across at you and says,
Did she drug me? I actually put me in a cell.
"Look,
What drug is involved?
yeah, I forget to." She says, "Look, Kane, for what it's worth, I'm pretty sure that Tirsa has in mind to let you be. In fact, she
That's
even implied that she thinks, I need to think about the right way to phrase this. She thought that after all this, you might want to be left alone, and she seems fairly happy to help facilitate that, as long as it's reciprocated."
Okay, that's good. That's good. That saves me the whole I'll kill all of you speech. Yeah.
Her eyes widen very slightly before she returns to her normal expression.
I did a whole speech to the other Tirsa. I don't know if this is the same Tirsa or not. I thought I had to do the speech. But I don't have to do the speech. That's good.
She nods.
I do kind of want to check on Colleen. Because I feel like, now I kind of feel like the future is at stake with because she's kind of, I mean, you were there. She kind of wants to mess with stuff again. That kind of forced the apocalypse stuff to happen.
Tully thinks for a moment, and then she says, "Look, Kane, logic was never really like my thing, but well, let me ask you this: are you prepared to stop her forcefully?"
Well, if I did, it wouldn't be at that moment because she'd be ready. But if probably not. Probably not, honestly.
I guess I'm
But
just thinking, unless you're willing to.
I don't think I could. I don't think I have it in me to take the lead out. Unfortunately.
She nods and says, like, 'cause unless that's really what you're talking about,
I mean, unless he was planning on bringing, I don't know, Dweeleg back or something and bringing back the exact anchor that caused everything in the first place. But that'd be crazy. Why would you do that?
She stops for a moment and says, do you give Colleen credit for not being crazy?
I don't know if she isn't crazy, though.
Right.
Like, I've been with her. And, like, I mean, I'm not the smartest guy, but there were sometimes I didn't understand, no one understood her choices. Like, when Fallon's on my side for things, and I
guess,
weird.
here, let me say this, and this is my background as a priest speaking.
Yeah.
Theoretically, you could, Fallon. It sounds like the gods, well, specifically Innis, set you on this path, and I think they've already taken this into account. I don't think they would have chosen Colleen if this was going to be a problem.
So the gods will deal with it then. I get it.
She shrugs. Look, I know it sounds kind of hokey, and lots of people use that as an excuse to just be lazy pieces of crap, but I actually think it applies in this case.
I mean, we've all met them. I figured, like, if Colleen's house getting out of order, like, they'll just show up again. Or at least one of them. I don't know which one.
Right.
So I guess that means I'll just go back to Dale's Harbor. And then figure out where I want to live.
Back to fish farming.
She says, oh, so not planning to come back and settle in Tindos, then?
Tindos is an option. Well, I gotta go to Dale's Harbor first. And I was to get where to go from there. And you mentioned coming with me, so, like, but...
Oh, wait. Out of character, did she?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about that.
She should help. I don't know if she... I figured that included following me.
She didn't specifically say that.
Well, Kane says it anyway because Kane is not...
Okay. So she says, are you asking me to come with you, Kane? Because what you just said kind of assumes that.
I thought you... yes. Wait. I thought... Yes? Yeah.
She looks at you, like, her expression gets very serious. And she says, that's a rather big proposal, and
what? No,
there's something very... Sorry, bad word choice. Anyways.
I actually hit my hand on the table.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can say Kane did it too.
Yeah. But are you okay, by the way?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
What?
At any rate, there's one thing I need to ask you before I answer that question.
Okay.
You're paying, right? Because I'm kind of broke.
Oh, yes.
Got him.
Stack of golden table.
I was waiting for Thule to be the one who proposes to Kane.
I need to go see Colleen at the bare minimum to get my gold. I share of the gold to her, the money, because I couldn't carry all of it. Don't ask why. I just couldn't carry it all at once by myself.
Got it. All right. Great then. Yeah, so I don't imagine you're looking to leave tonight, right?
No, not tonight. I gotta go get my money and stuff from Colleen, and then to get, figure out Dale's Harbor, here, the country, the plate of air.
She nods.
I got this ring so I could just summon my dad whenever I want. I don't know if it would work for anyone's elemental parents, but
that
kind of drugs.
That's interesting. Anyways, all I was about to ask is, do you have a place to stay tonight? Like, I think you were with Colleen's mom?
Well, we kind of woke up there, but yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
I guess not. I don't want to sleep there for the night. just because it's. I would have. Khalid seems fine, but it just still feels awkward. What with the stabbing of. Yeah.
Got it. Well, all I was going to say then is the boarding rooms at the temple aren't much, and sometimes you get weird sound effects, but if you want to crash, the place is open.
They got ins? I could just get it in.
Oh, yeah. She thinks for a moment. Actually, there's a rather nice one not too far from the temple. So if you face it, and then just turn around 180 degrees, walk down the street on your left, there should be a place called... No, that is the name. The Weeping Turtle.
Hold on a second. Anyway, I was picturing the wrong thing in my head about Colleen's mom, apparently. Oh. But okay, it's like, well, I mean, are you just gonna stay at the temple too? You would have just been at the hotel as well, the inn as well.
Oh, escalating awfully fast, aren't you? She raises an eyebrow.
Kane just does this.
Oh, fuck it. You only live once.
Yes. Also, let's avoid any like in the future. Just avoid risky situations, because I have a thing where I can undo stuff, but it involves amnesia.
She looks at you and she says, I see we have a talk ahead of us, but I'm well into this bottle of wine at this point. So, and I don't have 2 brain cells to rub together. So why don't we just go enjoy ourselves now,
Yeah,
Kane?
well, it's all in my book, so you can just read that once we sober up.
Yeah, great. Reading. Awesome. She's still just giving you a big goofy smile at this point.
I've heard about that.
And we fade away from the scene. Now, let me
In
ask...
the back of his mind, just like, Khalid's boobs are really big too, though.
I mean, that's not like a classic elven trait, but, you know, I've not specified it in game, and I'll let you imagine whatever it is you like.
I didn't realize
Unless one...
I don't know what anime L's you guys been looking at.
Okay.
I didn't realize. Yeah. She is apparently musty too. I didn't realize that till like
anime, you say? All right. Okay, so let me ask this: Fallon and Kane, are either of you trying particularly hard to intervene in the Colleen situation?
We don't know the situation though. Like,
are you trying to like track her down? Let me ask that question.
Yeah, I'm gonna send her a message in my sending stone.
Okay.
And say, hey, all right. I say I'm coming to get my stuff from the bag of holding tomorrow, and then give you your stuff out of the bag of holding. All right, bye.
Okay. Maybe I'll just like assume
you
without.
Want to be more specific than that?
why don't we just assume without going into the details that maybe you all plan one last meetup?
Yes.
Maybe back at Colleen's place to sort of like divvy things up before you head on your separate and like commemorate things before you head on your separate ways.
Some of that gold's got to be mine, right?
Yeah. I was going to take all my gold and put everyone else's gold back in her bag of holding.
Cool.
And all this stuff.
Carried on my back.
Alrighty then.
So
at this point, we're going to skip a little bit ahead. It is now late, approaching midnight. Fallon and Kane are occupied with stuff and things. And Colleen approaches the university, the appointed place at the appointed time, bearing 3 young homunculi in tow. You make your way to the lab. As you walk in, you notice that this is actually on the ground floor of the building, but situated sort of in the back. The windows which were curtained before, have now been opened to look up at the night sky, and they overlook a garden. Your mother and Minkasian are sitting just sharing some kind of drink. It doesn't looks like tea. Actually, they're sharing tea, apparently just waiting on you. And as you come in, Keith says, "Welcome back, Clean. Well, all ready to go?"
I certainly am. What do you think of these?
She looks at them and says, "I can see you've progressed a great deal while you've been away. More than you probably did at your entire time at the university."
Well, hopefully this does it.
She nods. Minkasian then says, "Have you decided the aim of our attempt tonight?"
Well, definitely the latter option. I believe that is really where we stand to gain the most.
So that's you're going to attempt to connect to Dweelig. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah.
Okay. He nods and says, "Very well." He, you can see he's already sort of pre-configured things with the creation spirits. While you were away, it seems that he and Cave have rigged something up so that the entire thing sort of sits in a basin, and he walks over to it, and you see him take one of the vials of Tophrith's blood and pour it all around the bottom of the basin. He says, "I've marked the spot on the floor. Colleen, if you can stand over there. Cave over there. I will start the spell, and I believe that the two of you should pick up on the intent fairly intuitively. Colleen, the order of operations here will... Well, actually, let me think about this. So, Cave, you will be focusing on moving the spirits into their new forms. Colleen, if you could have them line up over there, I marked the spot as well. Colleen, you will need to focus on reaching out to your friend. I need you to clear your mind of all other thoughts besides specifically what you have in mind. Got it?"
Alright, clear my mind.
Do you need a moment, or are you ready to go?
Well, I think my head's fairly clear. I have a goal in mind, and nothing could stop me from this.
Very well. You line up, and he starts muttering in a low voice. You know that incantations of this length are actually relatively rare. Like, they're commonly talked about in sort of, popular storytelling about magic practice. But when it comes down to it, normally, at best, it's like a short phrase that gets repeated as a mantra, either because it is a focus of the spell or even just to help with someone's concentration. But as you hear the words slide off of Minkasian's tongue, there is no repetition. There's clearly intent behind all of it, and you catch yourself idly wondering how he worked out even this much before you realize that, like, no, you need to focus. And you settle down the best you can. I think it has to be this, but let me think real quick. Yeah. First, give me an Arcana check as you start to sense the spell weaving its way around you. Okay. Based on that, you will have advantage on your next roll.
Oh, good.
So you sense the spell, you sort of grab hold of its threads as Minkasian weaves it about you. Your focus is simple, you realize you simply need to point it at its destination. You think of Dweelig, you think of only of your experiences with him as best you can. Wisdom check. Straight up wisdom check. Okay. You sense the world start to unravel about you. You sense a tunnel of some sort, streaks of light flying past you, some sort of color beyond violet. It's the only way that you can explain it. You spiral, and you sense more than see the plants and the giant fungi growing about you. You know without seeing that you're standing in a glade of some kind, looking up at the yellow and violet stars glittering in the night sky. And you know without seeing that Dweelig looks up from petting Puka next to him and says, "Colleen?"
Really? Is that really you?
I mean, I think it's me, Colleen. What are you doing here?
What kind of like state is he in? Is he like younger, older, about right? Like is his
Yeah. Again, it's not that you see all these things. It's just that you kind of know him.
Mhm.
He seems as you left him, except without the wounds or the bleeding or anything like that.
So if this is all like a manifestation and I can't like not physically there, can't really like
It's kind of like the difference between hearing and a telepathic voice in your mind. So
yeah.
vision is the appropriate metaphor, but you're aware that you're not actually seeing anything.
Okay, well I will do my best to reach out and touch him.
Yeah, you do, and you're aware of your hand on where.
um I guess I will try to pull him.
Okay. You reach down. You clasp his hand and bring him up to his feet. You know that you're very close to him now, and he stops and says, "Colleen,
Really, I need you to come with me.
where are we going, Colleen?"
Well, here and there, but the important thing is we'll be together and you'll be safe.
Okay. Puka too?
Of course, Puka too. Grab hold tight.
He reaches down and says, "Come here, Puka." And you see her you see him sort of guiding the dog by the scruff of its neck. All right, where are we going?
Well, this is all sort of experimental, but I want you to imagine the Minkasian's office in Tindos and hold on real tight to me. Well,
Kazian. Okay. All right.
all right. Well, we're going now.
Okay. You walk back in the direction that you feel that you came from, and as you do, you sense the world sort of start to streak around you, and that tunnel that you came through beginning to reform itself, and then suddenly you feel Dweelig stop next to you, and he says, "Wait, Clean. I'd forgotten it all, but I remember it now. What are you doing?"
Bringing you somewhere you can be happy and you can have a good life without all of those dark things that touched you. We can start over. We can start our own adventures and projects, and we'll understand that occurred. But
Colleen, and he turns you around and pulls you tight to him in an embrace, and you feel his head against your neck, and you feel sort of an odd sort of itching as you realize that he's crying against you. And he says, "Colleen, your friend was right to do what he did."
well, it may have been a solution at the time, but it doesn't
No,
mean that.
no, Colleen, you don't understand. I don't really understand it either, but I know that you fixed something before, and if you go ahead with this, then you'll ruin it.
Well.
Don't ask me how I know that, Colleen, but he cries some more and says, "I'm really happy that you came, though."
Well, what if I stay?
He stops for a moment. "I don't know."
Then I'll stay. We can find our way back another time, another way. The important thing is we'll be together.
He says, "Okay, Colleen. I guess he..." And now, as you say that, you begin to actually see him, and you see the world start to resolve itself back around you into those forms that presented themselves to you.
I was trying to hold that back. It's like I've got all Gaines money.
Some time ago. And he
He had
says,
everybody's money.
Yeah, and Fallon.
Yeah, and collateral damage here.
and he says, "Then, well, come this way, I guess." And you see some distant lights on the horizon.
Well, I guess in thinking about leaving all of my friends behind, I will take the bag of holding out and try to throw it back through the tunnel. Whether it gets lost in time and space is another thing, but maybe they'll recognize it as a symbol.
A for effort.
You,
A for effort.
you throw the bag down the tunnel, and you watch as it seemingly gets caught on a gust of wind and flies away.
I am the
It hits Halil in the face.
Leo's just like, where am I? How did I get
Ching! You hear all the coins clinking.
It just slides off his oil dress.
I hit him in the head.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And then he says, "Are you all ready, Colleen?"
I suppose I didn't think through my goodbyes, but I hope that reaches them. Or I'll find them somehow, some way. I'm ready.
All right. Then I guess we're off. And you walk off towards the horizon, hand in hand. And unless there's anything else, I will close the scene there.
Fine.
All right.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Casey, you speak too good. The little crack you did in your voice, I was like, no.
That might be my best voice acting moment of the campaign. I'm not gonna lie. All right.
Khalil's the only one that didn't get some.
Let me think here real quick.
Unless.
No, I need to think about one thing before I progress.
Okay. Unless it's pointed at Colleen, actually.
Who starts the greater mystery for our next campaign, where they're like, what the fuck? Clean's gone.
All right.
What do we do?
I guess you didn't get to make people for your people, right?
She had 16.
In theory, this could all still complete.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
All right. So, unless anyone else has does anyone else have anything in particular that needs to happen this night? Because otherwise I'm going to forward to the next morning where you all plan to meet up.
Occupied or asleep. So.
Right.
No.
Cool. So yeah.
Right.
The next day you meet as planned at Clean's house. Let me see actually here. Let me just ask both of you. Let's say you plan to meet a bit after noon. What time do you actually arrive?
I might get there a little bit before Fallon to talk to Khalid. I sent a message saying, hey, Khalid, I would get there a bit earlier than I had just said last night. You know, you didn't respond, but that's okay. I understand.
All right.
Then,
well, I mean, you worked out a rough plan.
Like an hour early.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're planning to show up early then, you arrive at the door. And, like, mind you, it is, like, you know, a mansion, basically. But a servant...
I arrived 2 hours early.
Do you actually?
I'm kidding.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Just hiding in plain sight out the front.
He is the doorbell.
Oh, don't twist that.
What did I just poke?
So yeah. You make it there. The servant says, "Oh, you're a bit early, but can you hold here a moment while I go check and make sure everything's in order?"
Sure, no problem.
Okay. He disappears for a moment, and then actually about a minute passes, and then Cave opens the door. Insight.
Is that the mom's name?
Yes.
Who's that?
Cave is my mother. Yes.
I almost clicked for bag of holding. I wasn't thinking how much money was in it when she walked in that tunnel. You said insight check.
Mm-hmm.
My heart stopped for a second. I was like, wait.
Okay. She seems less composed than when last you saw her.
I don't mean any offense, but are you okay?
Well, truth be told, I've been better, but it'll be okay. Here, come inside. The table's not quite set yet, but whatever. I'll have the servants do it.
That's fine. I got here early. I didn't expect anything.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We should talk. Come in.
Yeah, I was just wanting to talk to Khalid real quick before Fallon got here. I feel like we had some stuff kind of left, the elephant in the room between us.
Oh
I
yeah,
wanted to
Fallon, I'll come back to you in a moment, actually. There's a sort of a hitch in her step as you talk about Colleen. And then she says, just come in. And as you walk into the kitchen, you see in the chair where Colleen sat when you had breakfast before, the bag of holding.
I was so tempted to keep all your money and be like, "Ha, middle finger to Kate." But that's
Fallon's money. Kate,
well,
Kate just thinks oh, she must be sorting out the stuff with the bag of holding, like I said last night. Yeah, that's why it's out.
Wait, are you saying this out loud?
Yes.
Okay.
I rolled a 3. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, Kate says, take a seat, Kane. Do you want anything to drink?
Juice.
She nods. She goes, she walks into the other room, comes back out with a flask and a few glasses. She pours glasses for both of you, and then takes a drink and then says, I think Clean's gone, Kane.
Where'd you go?
I don't know. She sighs. Look, we tried to do something last night with the stones and whatnot, and she seemed intent on getting this Dweelig back. And, well, there was a bit of a... We cast sort of a novel spell, and she's just gone. Where she was standing, there was just that bag.
So you didn't bring anything back? She just went to?
And as you ask that question, you hear steps coming down the stairs, and you see the forms that you do recognize as Curil, Lacidel, and Cenarian. And they say, hey, Kane! And,
Hey!
and with that, we're going to transition back to Fallon. So, Fallon,
It's a lot for Cade right now.
are you... So, like, so, you know, the morning happens, and you sort yourself out and whatnot, you know, the classic morning, morning after sleepover stuff. Did you want to handle the vestiges thing now?
Yeah. Sorry, I guess I
Okay.
was confused. I thought we were doing that like right away.
Yeah. I just forgot and went to Kane
Okay.
first. But we'll do it now. So, like, this is taking place actually chronologically before the scene that we just had with Kane.
Okay.
So you finish your breakfast, you finish, like, dressing yourselves and whatnot, and Anya looks over and says, so, want to go take care of things at the temple now?
Yep.
All right.
About time.
Yeah, I'd say so. Come here, sword. Oh yeah, that's right, I have to pick it up. And you gather your things and head down the streets towards the temple. The people at the front are expecting you, and actually, what's her face? Nistia gets called down to bring you up once again. And she says, Fallon, good to see you back. You had enough time to think things through?
I don't want any. I'd be willing to trade. I don't want cash or money. Like, these are precious to me, but I would be willing to trade them for something equally as precious. Heard about a stone of transcendence? That sounds like more than a fair deal.
Her eyes glimpse back and forth, and she says in a low voice, "Perhaps I'd best bring you back up to the priestess. Or actually, now that I think about it, she asks a person at the desk, is the high priest in today, whose name I'm forgetting right now, so I'm just going to call him the high priest, I'm sorry. But if you remember, there was like a timeline where Nistia got replaced with a different guy, and this is going to be who she's referring to.
Yeah.
But she says, is he in today? And the person at the desk says, I could send a message. And Nistia says, no need. And she comes back to you, Fallon, and says, come on, I'll take you to them. Only a few people know about that, and yeah, we need to talk. So, you know, there's a little bit of waiting around as messages are sent. Finally, Nistia does take you, though, not just up 2 floors to the modest receiving room that you were in before, but up, actually, this is going to be like 9 floors, all the way to the top level, into a slightly less modest receiving room. Where is gathered not just Antiniel from before, but also that high priest dude who you met, whose name I don't remember. Nistia brings you in and says, Sir, Fallon Fenris, back to speak of the vestiges. And says, right. He looks over at you. I was told you mentioned the Stone of Transcendence.
Yep, that's the one.
So, do you have any mind about... Well, he pauses for a moment. So I take it the offer is the stone in exchange for the vestiges?
Yep, 7 for 1. Not a bad deal.
He nods and says, normally it's never a thing I would consider, but given who you are and what else is under discussion, agreed. Do you have any mind about how the vestiges themselves should be dealt with?
I think there was a discussion about scattering or destroying. I don't know where they would return to if destroyed. So probably scattering sounds more something that could be, someone could keep an eye on it, make sure they stay put.
He nods. He says, the only people who know of that plan are those gathered in this room and your friend Maxis. Are you content with us handling that?
I mean, yeah, if you turn evil, I'll find you. Or whoever.
He nods and says, if you'd prefer to leave them with someone else, he says, perhaps Nistia here, if you trust her. He shrugs and says, what I'm saying is leave them with whoever you like, and we will definitely take care of them. As for the thing you mentioned, it's actually currently residing at the Tower of Innis. Do you know where that is?
The one that's at the tip of the
Mm-hmm.
Horn of Africa or whatever.
Yep, basically.
Yep, I know it.
Okay, he nods. He says, if you prefer, you can go to fetch it yourself, or we can have it brought here. But for various reasons, we prefer a more reliable method than teleportation when transporting it.
Anya, what do you think? Do we go get it?
She says, I don't know. She looks up. Do I have any duties? Or anything else that I'm responsible for at the moment? And then Nistia says, wait, you know that you have to... And then she says, yeah, I don't have anything, right? I could totally just take Fallon down and go fetch it, right? The priest sort of gives a small smile and says, "Of course. Just a sec, and let me write up a writ so that they know who authorized this." Some time passes while he takes out a parchment and actually, like, with several different quills, not only writes it out, but makes various markings on it. You don't know whether it's like a code or something magical or something like that. But at the end of the day, he stands up from the seat that he's at, walks across the room to you, and holds it out to you and says, "Here, if you present this at the tower, then everything will be as we agreed."
Right. I take it and read it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it actually doesn't mention the stone directly. It just directs you to be taken to a person at the tower, and says that the bearer of this letter is to be given, the item that he asked for on authority of blah blah blah.
Nice.
There are a variety of other markings on it that, well, give me a religion check, I guess. Okay, yeah, you don't immediately know what they mean, but it does seem somewhat intricate.
Cool. Okay. So I guess I pat my pack and I say, I guess you'll be wanting these then.
He nods shallowly.
I guess I take them out and hand them over to Nistia.
She nods as she accepts them and says, "Thank you, Fallon."
I said, I always liked you, especially that time in that other dimension where you worshipped me as a god.
She tilts her head and says, "What?"
Yeah, you were a priestess of one of the tentacle monsters, but we killed it and replaced it as the deity of the Underdark where the fish people lived.
It's pretty great.
I'll have to hear the whole story sometime when I've had considerably more wine.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, Fallon Fenris, is there anything else that needs to be addressed?
So it's like, how does this work with Anya? Does she have to do whatever y'all want all the time?
He says, "Paladins of Innis go where Innis wills, but it would seem at this moment that Innis has willed she should go where she likes." Anya, like, sort of leans up to your ear and whispers. Actually, what does she whisper? Let me think about this. She says, "That means I can do whatever I want."
And Fallon says, yeah, but like in forever or for a week?
He says, "The Paladins of Innis serve at their will. The goddess gives them direction, but it is they who must take the steps."
Sorry. I didn't expect that one. Right. Okay, cool. All right, let's go on an adventure.
Brilliant. Says the voice next to you, and you head on your way. All right. Back to Cave's home. So yeah, the creation spirits have just, or at least 3 children, have just come down the steps.
I should unmute.
And said, "Hi, Kane."
Hey, what?
Uh,
How are you guys? Isn't this not good?
Lacidel takes a seat. Kirill and Cenarian both go over to the kitchen and start like gathering, looks like drinks and snacks. Lacidel says, "Yeah, Colleen thought that we should stick around, so looks like that part of the spell worked as intended."
So she made the spheres and the people? Or
Yeah, more or less. We've got
I was free for the spheres.
these bodies now, and wait, let me try to disappear real quick. He closes his eyes. Nope, no can do. So we may have suggested that the stones themselves be dropped off at the temple because, you know, they're still kind of powerful and stuff, and he sort of looks at himself.
Stones, did you take the power out of the stone? If they're separate, where are the stones at?
Oh yeah, no, most of the power is still there. We got a little bit of it. I can still kind of do stuff, but you know.
What happens if you die?
He stops and thinks for a moment. Huh, I hadn't thought of that. And then Kirill comes back and slides a tray across the table. "I got snacks." And they all sit down next to each other and start like piling stuff on their plates.
But do you age?
He looks over at Cenarian. "I don't know, you're better at this sort of thing. Do we age?" He says, "Probably not. I don't know."
Oh, okay. I guess
Maybe?
if you guys stay, I guess as long as you guys don't die before something bad happens.
And the conversation continues like this for a bit before you
Can
hear
just like eats entire snacks, just like one bite.
You hear the front door open, and a servant brings Fallon back as well. Fallon, you enter to see Kane, Cave, Kirill, Lacidel, Cenarian, all seated around the table. The 3 children just with like piles of food in front of them.
I am sitting with a bag of holding it.
I remember you from the cave.
Hey, Fallon, says Lacidel. "Haven't seen you for a bit, at least not like this. How are things?"
They don't age.
"Probably," says Cenarian.
Well, they didn't before. It's nothing new.
But they're not in the rocks anymore.
Right.
They're separate. Khalid separated them.
Where is Colleen?
She's in a dimensional hole.
That rascal. Where is she?
You see Cave sort of look up towards the ceiling at that.
My bad.
"Oh, no, it's
She's
fine."
where?
Cave speaks up and says, "I'm not quite sure." She shakes her head. "Look, we attempted a rather complex spell casting last night. The part of it that worked separated these 3 from their housings. The part of it that... And actually, you know what? Side note, by the way, the stones would have actually been taken to the Temple of Karulu. They would have been left with Halael's uncle. That's actually what would have happened. So amend that detail. Amend that detail. But anyways, yeah, so Cade says, "So this part resulted in these 3 having their current bodies. The other part, well, Colleen disappeared, more or less. Somehow this," she gestures towards the bag of holding, "got left."
Yes, our money and whatever else is in there. I forget.
She
I
shrugs.
guess she didn't hear me. She didn't sort it at all. We're gonna have to sort it, Felon.
I
I guess
imagine the
we'll leave
intention
her
was for the
share
two of you
here.
to have it.
We'll leave
Um,
her share here with you.
Fallon says, I'm pretty sure she was enamored with, or not enamored, I'm not that fancy. Pretty sure she really liked the time she spent in the other world type.
Tentacle place.
Yeah. So she probably just decided it was like where she wanted to go.
I guess it's better than bringing it here, which was what she seemed like she was trying to do.
I'm just happy Dom's not there with her. That's all. And yes, I agree too.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Dom.
Oh, right. No, I remember you mentioned this.
Yes, Fallon let him out purposefully with sound of mind, and then
Alan
Khalid
looks at
decided
Anya and shakes his head no.
she arrived at the gate.
I assume she looks at me upon that statement. I look at her and just gonna shake my head no.
Because the devil man
Yeah,
said that you could open this cell, and you were like, "Well, I guess I gotta."
Okay.
Okay, by the way, Fallon, for Anya's reaction, you know that, and I'm
Anya's there?
like classically, it would be like a black woman who does this, but Anya's doing her own version of it. You know, when someone goes, mm-hmm.
You know what? I was looking at her face, she's a black woman, but I was like, nope, yep, that's right. At least in my experience.
Yeah. So Anya gives her version of mm-hmm.
But it was to save the world. So, you know, good. Then we kind of put him in hell. Well,
No, it's okay. It's okay. He's
I didn't see you there, Anya.
This one's pretty in the green with me for the moment.
Okay.
That was so fast, Brave. You gotta love stereotypes. They're so easy to Google.
Oh,
Bless Family Guy. Or I'm guessing this is Spanish.
Yep.
Thought it was Cleveland.
I say that to my wife all the time, actually, but I don't think I'm channeling anybody in particular.
No, you're channeling your inner black woman. Everyone has one. Your inner black
You should
woman.
write a self-help book about that.
Oh,
Right.
man, that'd be sick.
How to channel your inner black woman. That won't get, boycotted at all.
No, it's a safe bet. So sure.
They'll look at me and be like, what's this Mexican talking about black women?
yeah. But sorry. So anyway, so Cade says, but yes, I'm sure Colleen must have sent that back because she knew you'd want it. So please don't worry. Go ahead and divide it as you will.
Fallon says, Cade, like seriously, she was in love with that place.
She will be very happy if she's there.
Even though it was destroying all of this.
She didn't care. She loved it.
Try not to judge too much, but still, she's probably, frolicking in a field of tentacles or something, having the time of her life.
She
probably
nods and says, people thought that I was a curious girl, a girl who explored things that she probably shouldn't, I was regarded as a bit strange. I think the phrase is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but in this case I would say perhaps...
Bye, kitty.
Well, an even larger tree grew, if that makes sense.
Yeah, one time her eyes turned like to inky black bulbs and she grew tentacle arms and she was just...
She didn't want to fix it.
Yeah,
this was a side effect of some weird stuff and she was like, nah, I'm cool. And I was like, please God.
She looks at you and says, look, if it's all right, can we stop telling stories about Colleen for a bit?
Okay. Hey, Fallon. So just realizing this right now, that Bad Holding is the accumulation of 8 different people earning money.
Yeah,
and
they're probably dead.
And now we can just divide it in
Besides
half.
Colleen, obviously.
Obviously, Khalid's fine. We can now divide it in half, Fallon.
Is there less money in here than there used to be?
We used to have a lot of people.
I feel like there used to be more money.
I mean, they took a little bit with them, but like not nearly enough for their share.
What do I roll for math to determine that
I do need to subtract the 45 plat
the
from that. So
45 plat
Um,
disappeared?
let me
Sure.
see here. Investigation. With advantage because it's money and it's you.
15.
Okay, yeah. You don't remember the exact amount, but you know that there is like several hundred platinum missing.
Ah, big spender Colleen.
Platinum.
meanwhile, Lacidel, KyrianSalvar just kind of sparkle and
We had tens of thousands platinum in here. Now we only have like 1,600.
Oh
platinum.
no, that's not true. Because it was like
Or
450.
tens of thousands gold. Tens of thousands of gold.
It was 450 platinum that Colleen used. So she only used like 20%, a little bit more of the platinum that's currently there.
That's 20,000 gold. I said
that's
10.
my cut.
That's actually less than your cut.
Yeah.
True. So Fallon, we now have like 17,000 gold pieces.
You probably need to leave some for Colleen's now abandoned children.
Yes. Y'all want some money? Ignore the number I just said out loud.
They look at each other, and Sonari, and finally Kirill says, "Yes, we'll take Colleen's cut."
Wait.
Ah,
Y'all don't eat or age.
We
hey,
are
they're shoveling.
We are 3 children, abandoned in the world without any guardian, having to fend for ourselves in a strange new land.
I'm just gesturing to the house right now.
She
You
never
don't know
said
the-
we could stay here. And then
Can they
Cave
stay
starts to say something, and Kirill says, "She never said we could stay here."
She's trying to say that you can right now, but you're talking over her.
I'm fine with y'all keeping all the non-monetary contents for sure. There's dragon teeth and scales and.
And also, do y'all even need to eat though? Like all those real, like your age, are they real bodies?
She says,
Or are they
"Okay, so the 2 of you split the money and we keep the rest?"
Fallon says, "Oh my goodness, there's a book in here called an evil cookbook. Whose was this?"
I know
There was
whose
a
that
book
is.
about torturing in there.
I know whose
Wait.
that is.
Is it
Wait,
called-
we have a ring of invisibility in here. What the fuck? I know not everything in here. Just give us a few things, and you can have the rest.
Okay,
Like
so
things.
so you take some time to like spread everything out, and
Like
then
there's jewelry worth more in gold than what we actually have in gold. These little shits.
she says,
We
"Oh,
have
I
12
never would have suggested dividing it up that way if I'd have known. I'm sorry."
I didn't say this out loud, but yes, we have like 12 diamonds worth 5,000 gold, Fallon.
Are there?
Yes. We have a lot. We have a lot of fucking shit in here, dude.
Yeah, there's a dragon blood vial, black pearl.
Gotta go to the dose. There's a lot more jewels
Oh,
and
and
dose.
dose. I didn't look at dose. I was looking at the other one. I've honestly, you guys have been dumping stuff in here. Besides, like the money that we all would have like split up, I didn't really have. I think I put like a couple things. But
Okay.
it was very, very rare.
I think for the sake of posterity, Cade takes the ring of invisibility. That's really the main thing he wants out of this pack. That's magical. Maybe some jewelry.
Oh, I forgot there was a sloppy warg head in here.
4
Yep.
rubies worth 5.
That's what I suggest Colleen give to Tavrith. Give her a sloppy warg head. He'll love it.
Okay, you should take these rubies.
You know what? I will take them. And I'll go straight to the capital. What could go wrong?
Right.
Couple diamonds in there. Those don't look too bad.
It's like 12 diamonds. 12 diamonds.
As you're
I was-
sorting
I thought it
things
was two.
out,
There's two 25,000 diamonds and 12 5,000 gold diamonds.
wait, there are 25,000 gold. Where out? Are you
There's
looking at
two.
bag of holding dose?
Yes. Numero dos.
There's a bunch
Okay.
of jewelry at the bottom.
Got it. Finally, Kirill says, all right. The two of you drive a hard bargain. She separates out the diamonds and says, I'll take these. You can keep the rest.
Wait. Those are literally worth more than everything else in the backs.
I'm giving you everything except the diamonds.
Which are worth more than everything.
No deal.
You can't swindle us. You've been here for like 5 minutes.
Didn't we just save the world? Jesus.
And I need to take
not
care
you.
of these two.
Somebody.
They're children.
You don't age or eat. You can eat, but you don't need to eat. I
We're
don't think
helpless children.
gestures around
You can always come to Uncle Fallon when you need assistance.
or Uncle Kane. Don't come to Uncle Kane.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't
That's
do
good.
that.
That's good enough then. And she slides one of the smaller diamonds back towards you guys.
Fallon reaches across the table, scoops up all the diamonds.
We will divide this evenly. Don't worry, okay?
Fair enough.
Except
now-
I get the invisibility ring. Don't ask questions.
All right. So to skip ahead a bit, just because this could take a while if we actually got into the details.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, it takes so fucking long.
Yeah. I will allow that, like, you know, what? How shall I put this?
Casey, did you get my note?
Oh no, sorry, just a sec.
We can give them the staff of healing. It's not like we ever used it. It's in pristine condition.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I don't
alright.
think it really matters how we
Gotcha.
split anything up.
No,
Yeah. And Kira will accept less than a third for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Although she's totally, like, you know, in full on negotiation mode. So
We'll just say it ends up being like a quarter, and then Fowler and I split the rest.
that's,
But we both.
you know, it could even be like 20%. It's like you and Fallon get 2 shares each, and she gets 1 share.
Yeah, and like, if everyone agrees, Kate will try to get most of his monetary value out of the gems and not try to carry actual money.
Okay, I'll just say, without dividing everything up, you
And he gets the bag. He keeps his bag of holding.
you come to some mutually agreeable arrangement, and then finally, as you sort of wrap things up, Kirill looks at you and says, "Well, you know, you obviously care a great deal about this, Fallon and Kane, and you have every right to, given everything that you've done. But I'm sure that Colleen would appreciate, as we do, the generosity that you've shown the 3 of us."
What a bone dagger!
Sure.
All right,
Want
I
a,
just saw a bone dagger.
she says, "Want a sloppy warg head? I know I
Nope.
negotiated for this, but I really don't need it."
Nope. Got it.
I've never heard of that move.
Fallon, if you want to keep the bag of holding or give it to him. You only got 2 of them.
I could probably use
The
one.
first one has a hole in it.
No, you can take it. Keith has generously offered to make this our temporary base until we can work out something more permanent, right? And then Keith says, "I was actually going to offer, but when you phrase it like that, no, it's fine."
I thought you were about to say.
All right. So yeah, so you finish dividing everything up, and
What was Colleen's favorite item in here? Did Colleen have her favorite item in here?
the time is approaching when I think you're about to head on your separate ways. Fowlin, as you sort of start to gather and examine your share of things, the deck of illusions that Colleen had happened to be one of the items that you wound up with. As you leaf through it, you find a small note inside, and it says, "Fallon, please accept this and think of me when you use this. Tell Kane not to spend all of his money in one place." And then it's just signed Colleen.
Where's my name?
Fallon out loud says, "You know, Kane, I bet if you took all your gems and gold to like a betting house, you could probably triple, double, triple, maybe even quadruple your money."
What's the betting house?
Oh no.
Nah, I'm fucking with him. I know what gambling is. I don't want to gamble. I've seen gambling. It's stupid. Unless I can cheat at it. And you can't do it at a gambling house. They catch you. Even if you're not cheating, if you win too much, it's like, all right, you gotta go. Actually, maybe once.
Right.
No, I got something.
I already know Kane's a hoarder, so I don't think I need to.
I gotta go find my child. I gotta go do that first. Child, then maybe gambling. Here, wait, no. Colleen took the other sending stone. How will we get back in touch with each other, Fallon? Where will you be?
Well, I'm gonna go to the Tower of Venice.
Uh-huh.
And then look at Anya.
She says, "Well, there's always your grandma's place or your place, right?"
Your conversion therapy.
Yes. I guess we could go retire to my estates.
She shrugs. I mean, or at least visit them. We don't have to stay there.
Are we
But
sure we don't have to
We could stay there for a little bit. Maybe until Kane comes through the neighborhood.
Right.
Oh, I have 2 sending stones. Here, Fallon, take one.
Thanks. Love these things.
I have so many. So we have so many sending stones in our bag.
So many unlinked sending stones.
I'm glad I kept the ones that were linked together and
Yeah.
just put them all fucking.
I've been farting loudly into these each one.
All right.
Yes.
All
Sorry.
right.
That's not canon. That was a joke.
So at any rate, I think I see some loose plans taking shape as we approach the end of our story.
No gambling house.
Is there anything else that either of you would like to do?
I can't think of anything else.
Fallon?
I think I should go find my child.
No, I mean, I really don't know how to. I don't know. I'm good. I'm trying to think. Hold on. I'm on the spot suddenly.
Yep, no worries.
Well, Kane, goodbye. Don't don't get killed again.
Oh yeah, Tirsa killed me.
Yeah, that's the story.
I'll try not to get poisoned by the people I trust the most. Yes, okay.
Well, let's just say you learned a valuable lesson.
Drink my own wine?
Yeah, that's what I meant. All right. See you in, is it Rampart?
Citadel.
Where's this? See you in Citadel.
Yes, of course, Citadel.
That's where my stuff is, we're going to be hanging out.
Yep. All right.
You know what? Yeah, I'll stop by with my kid. You can meet my kid again in this universe. She's taller. I don't know.
Was she a strange color last time or just blue?
Nope. She was regular person.
Oh, okay.
Blue people can't have more blue people. Only the Papa Blue.
It's like it's actually it's like a coin flip whether they're Genasi or human.
Oh, I thought Genasi couldn't have more Genasi.
I look
yeah.
at Kane and I say, maybe
I
we'll
forget
have
the
a
exact
purple
lore.
one.
It hasn't been relevant in this world, so
Okay.
I'm willing to leave it undefined.
Fallon says, maybe we'll have a purple one by the next time I see you.
Purple.
Yes, purple.
Wind and fire, Kane. Wind and fire.
Who says this? Is Tuli here? Tuli's here, right?
No, my assumption was that she was gonna meet up with you later.
Yeah, okay. So Tuli's right here. Wind and then Kane turns purple. I'll see you guys. Rare part.
Citadel, you mean? All right.
Citadel. We got sending stones. I can figure out where you are before I leave.
All right. So each of you,
Rich as fuck.
make preparations and head out on one last small adventure. We fast forward to 2 months later. Kane, you and Tuli are walking through the streets of Citadel. You're actually holding a small, occasionally wriggling bundle in your arms.
Is it a girl or a boy?
It's a girl.
Still a girl. Okay.
And you round a corner. You see a garden with a familiar halfling gardener. The city of Rampart fell on some hard times. You can still see an area of the building that's under active construction where a large rock fell through it.
Is that guy's magic shop still there?
No, I'm referring to Fallon's house. It took a rock.
I just want to get a city is like the dude's the magic shop that we were trying to rob until Khalid ruined it because she got too drunk.
Gotcha.
Well,
Anyway, it happens,
The two of you walk up. The gardener nods as you come up to the door. You knock. Fallon, you happen to be standing on the other side of the door. You glimpse through the peephole and realize that it's Kane. What do you say?
I assume I open the door.
No solicitors.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Fallon, I found your long-lost daughter.
I open the door and I say, still alive without me or Colleen. Amazing.
I've lived for 18 years at this 19 years? I forgot my age.
You're 18.
I lived for 18 long years without you guys.
Yeah, but
Died once with us.
Was that really living?
So did you, Khalid.
All right. And on this touching
Never
reunion,
said I did.
unless there's anything else, that's where we're going to end it.
Woo!
right.
That's all, folks.
Good night, stream. This has been the Crystal Tomb. If anyone is watching this right now,
Us in the future.
thanks, I guess, and sorry I didn't edit any of the videos.
Woo! No editing and some didn't even have sound.
All right. And